Meeting. I will call the meeting to order and ask Nicole to take roll call, please.
Bodie?
Here.
Carberry Montgomery?
Here.
Kroll?
Here.
McBurney?
Here.
Rosendahl?
Here.
Thank you.
All right, please stand as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Urbandale is a national leader in character counts, endeavoring at all times to promote and model the principles of trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. In conducting tonight's meeting, we expect that all participants will act in a respectful manner consistent with these principles. Item 2 is to approve the agenda. Ask for a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Montgomery, second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl says aye.
All right, thank you. That passes. Item 3, presentations. Before we get to our regular agenda, we do have a couple of very special presentations tonight. First is a presentation for Don Brush. Don passed away last week and was a mentor to me, certainly, and a great leader in this community. And we're also privileged to have his family here tonight. But we have a proclamation to read to honor Don's life and his service to the Urbandale community. Whereas the city of Urbandale has been shaped and enriched by the dedication and unwavering commitment of its residents, and it is with great appreciation that we recognize and remember an exemplary individual, Mr. Donald J. Brush, for his service to our community. Don's commitment to Urbandale spanned over 4 decades, where he served in distinction in various capacities, including mayor, city council member, planning and zoning commission, and the city treasurer. Don's legacy extends beyond governance. He actively contributed to civic and charitable organizations, reflecting his commitment to the community's well-being. We honor Don's service, dedication, and the positive impact he made on Urbandale. Our thoughts are with his family, and we express our deepest gratitude for sharing him with us. In remembrance and recognition of his exemplary service, the city of Urbandale extends its heartfelt condolences to the family and the friends of Mr. Donald J. Brush. And again, I know we have Catherine and the family members here. I'd like to have them come up. I'd like to present this to them, and I think
thank you, Bob, the council, AJ, Nikki, and city staff for putting this together tonight. Truly an honor for Dad. I know that he's probably up in heaven right now, smiling, having his name mentioned at a council meeting once more. So as we had talked over the past week about Dad and some of the traits that were very special to him, community service was one of those. And definitely Urbandale was at the top of his list as he took his service into place with it. So it's will definitely be remembered. Urbandale, special place in his heart, our heart, and with all of you. Thank you.
thank you again.
Can I say one thing?
Absolutely, Catherine. You can have all the time you want, so please.
I'm just remembering why we moved to Urbandale. We picked it out. It was close to St. Pius, one car at that time. And so we could push the stroller to church, and there was the Hy-Vee and the bank back there and beautician, everything a person needed. But one day, welcome wagon lady, Eileen Lemon, came to visit. And she said to Don, "You are going to be so happy you moved to Urbandale," because he said we had moved to Des Moines. Well, no, that's when she said, "You haven't, and you'll be so happy to move to Urbandale." Well, he was their gift to the city. He loved Urbandale, I always told him he loved it better than his family. But he gave it a lot of time.
He certainly did.
He never complained.
Well.
So thank you all very much. It's special to us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. And again, we truly mean and we say thank you for sharing him with us because we know he gave so much time to our community and a lot of family time was lost for doing that. So thank you for your commitment to Urbandale too and what you've done. So thank you very much. All right, now we have the privilege of executing the oath of office for for a firefighter EMT and a firefighter paramedic. And to introduce us, I'm going to introduce our fire chief, Mike Carville. Chief.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. We have two of our newest members that are here tonight to receive their badges. And the way we operate in the fire department is they come on board, we orient them for the first 6 months to make sure that they have all the qualities that we need before we actually present them with their badges. They're actually not done with their orientation and probationary period. They've got another 6 months that we will focus on team building. But we feel it's appropriate at this point to give them their badges and welcome them officially as members of the Urbandale Fire Team. So, Mayor, if you wouldn't mind. Our first member that we're going to be bringing on tonight is firefighter EMT Justin Braland.
I, Justin Braland.
I, Justin,
Solemnly pledge
solemnly pledge
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of firefighter EMT
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of firefighter EMT
for the city of Urbandale.
for the city of Urbandale.
I pledge that my performance will be mission-driven,
I pledge that my performance will be mission-driven,
focused on our customers,
focused on our customers,
placing their needs before my own,
and placing their needs before my own,
with safety as my priority.
with safety as my priority.
I pledge to fulfill the mission
I pledge to fulfill the mission
of the Urbandale Fire Department
of the Urbandale Fire Department
of preserving life,
of preserving life,
protecting property,
protecting property,
and promoting safety through education,
and promoting safety through education,
while maintaining the core values
while maintaining the core values
of pride,
of pride,
respect,
respect,
integrity, duty, unity, and compassion. Congratulations.
For those of you that are new, it's a time-honored tradition in the fire service that we ask a family member, invite them to ask a family member to actually pin the badge on for the first time. And next, firefighter paramedic Bryan Koster.
I, Bryan Koster,
I, Bryan Koster,
do solemnly pledge
do solemnly pledge
that I will faithfully discharge the duties
that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of firefighter paramedic
of firefighter paramedic
for the city of Urbandale.
for the city of Urbandale.
I pledge that my performance will be mission-driven,
Pledge my performance will be mission-driven,
focused on our customers,
focused on our customers,
placing their needs before my own,
and placing their needs before my own,
with safety as my priority.
with safety as my priority.
I pledge to fulfill the mission of the Urbandale Fire Department
I pledge to fulfill the mission of the Urbandale Fire Department
of preserving life,
of preserving life,
protecting property,
protecting property,
and promoting safety through education,
and promoting safety through education,
while maintaining the core values
maintaining the core values
of pride, respect, integrity,
of pride, respect, and integrity,
duty, unity, and compassion.
duty, unity, and compassion. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Chief, thank you. Thank you to Justin and Brian for joining. Thank you to the families and friends and who are here tonight to support Justin and Brian. So they're going to need your help through the days as they fulfill their mission for the city of Urbandale. So thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody, for being here for that. We'll give a second here so they can now respond to fires. So bear with us a second as we allow the people to vacate. And thank you to the Brush family. Thank you.
There's fire trucks. I'm like, something's bad at the library. And then I'm like, oh, I bet it's just. No.
Okay, we'll move on to item 4 of the agenda, and that's the Citizens Forum. This is the opportunity to address the council on something that's not a part of tonight's agenda. Is there anyone that would like to address the council at this time? Okay, yep, ma'am, go ahead. Please come up and give your name and address for the record.
My name's Betty Salmon, and I live at 9106 Greenbelt Drive in Urbandale. And I'm going to try to keep what I have to say, although I see we have 5 minutes. I'm going to try to keep it to 60 seconds, hopefully, to address what is, I believe, is the most pressing issue of our time, and that is the climate crisis that we're in. The effects of the climate crisis are costing us money, and it's only going to cost us more money. So I'm asking that the city council remember to keep it in the strategic planning and to keep it in the budgeting. Let's see a lot more solutions for our city vehicles and our city buildings to make sure that they're using clean, renewable energy. Let's see our developments become less car dependent. So we're seeing things like infill and mixed-use development, and let's look at our zoning to make sure that our private citizens in our commercial areas can do the same things there. So lastly, I'm just asking for our city to be trailblazers on this. Don't be afraid to be visible and to be bold about this and to be role models for our citizens, because right now this is definitely our time to get this done. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. All right, is there anyone else like to address the council on something that's not a part of tonight's agenda?
I'm Julie Shimko, 6715 Douglas. I just wanted to introduce myself to AJ Johnson. Thank you for working on our 6800 Douglas project. I appreciate you getting this nipped in the bud, hopefully. Continue working on the nuisance in the neighborhood. I know people in the audience tonight are agreeing with me. We need to get this nightclub, get it shut down because it's just terrible for us. So with spring and summer coming on, it's going to get louder and more people are going to get annoyed, and it's disrupting the neighborhood and trashing it. So thank you. And continue the good work, please. Keep on it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Is there anyone else like to address the council this time?
My name is Nina Blackford. I live at 3617 68th Street, which is just down from the building at 68th and Douglas. That building has, by the city, been declared unsafe. I don't understand how they can go in and tear the notes off the door and then charge at the door 25 to 30 bucks is what I'm being told. They bring the bottles in and then they take them outside and they break them, or we find trash in our yard, we're a half a block from it to the south, and the printers have trash in their parking lot. So we would like to get it stopped, because I don't understand how that building can be used when it's been declared unsafe.
Thank you, Nina. Now, again, I know as Julie alluded to, we are focusing on it, so we're trying to get the response on that, so hopefully it's improved. AJ, did you want to add?
Ma'am, if you could leave a number that I can give you a call back and give you an update on the activities. That way we can have a nice discussion about it, if you're okay with that. Oh, okay.
All right, yes, go ahead. Go up to the podium, please.
My name is Diane Christian. AJ, I'd like to be on your phone list as well.
Not a problem, be happy to.
That's good because, yeah,
Can find time to talk about it at your convenience.
thank you.
I'm going to leave a contact number, email, or something that we can either talk on the phone or you can come on in. I can give you an update as to all the activities to date.
Perfect. Yeah, there's needles all over the sidewalks, and I'm afraid that a kid is going to pick it up and put his mouth in it, or it's bad.
We're well aware of it and we're working to resolve it.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, is there anyone else slated to address the council? All right, seeing none, then we will move on. Item 5 is to move the minutes from the January 2 meeting.
A motion to accept the minutes.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
That passes. Item 6 is the consent agenda, and at this point, we're going to pull item 6.8 from the consent agenda, and so this would be a motion to approve the balance of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
All right, that passes. And then we'll take up item 6.8, which is regarding the 2080 agreement with UCAN. And AJ, did you want to maybe start us off on the background of where we are on this? And why
Certainly, Mr. Mayor, members of council, this item, last year, when you approved your fiscal year 23-24 budget, you made a number of allocations to outside agencies and groups. Part of those allocations required the 2080 agreement that the state requires that says that this city council or the previous city council made a determination that the activity that you were helping to fund was for a public purpose, and that's required for the public funds. Within that 2080 agreement, there were certain provisions within the UCAN agreement that said that the monies that were being allocated by the city council for your operations were broken into basically two categories. One for rent assistance, because they rented a facility at the Altar Gates Church. The second was for operational assistance. Since that time, there has been some transitional issues with UCAN associated with their operations. And during our discussions, we withheld the payments, internal discussions, we withheld any payment until we received a completed 2080 agreement, which was signed. And once we had that, we had gaps in that agreement that we needed to get filled. The conversation we had recently with the allocation committee for the Hotel Motel Fund, the city staff, myself, and the finance director, Nikki Lamb, outlined the issues that we were having, and it was agreed that this 2080 agreement that now we had activated by their board would be forwarded for your consideration for the current fiscal year for payment for their lease arrangement only. We have copies of the lease, for their operation. And so that fulfills one of the requirements of the current 2080 agreement. We are not making any payments at this time for any operational support since they're in flux right now. And I think that's the best way to say it because operational expenses are linked to items that they're just not doing at this point in time. So that is the explanation for the partial payment, and again, the linkage back to the 2080 agreement. For our new council members, when you consider your next budget coming up here in February for recommendations that are being forwarded by the allocation committee, know that there will be a 28E agreement with every outside agencies that making that declaration that this is for a public purpose. And if it's for something specifically that they had asked for, whether it be for a piece of equipment or some operational expense, that will be outlined in there as well. Also know that as a council, you may place any other terms and conditions within that 2080 agreement that you believe fulfills that public purpose requirement. So that is just something for the new folks to consider as well. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Finance Director is here as well.
So at this time, we're approving the current 20E, recognizing that as of now, we are not paying for the operational expenses.
That is correct. I would add, though, the monies are still allocated within the budget. And so if they satisfy the terms and conditions of the 2080 agreement as far as the operational, we will bring those back to council for further consideration.
So are we voting on this item as the $60,000 in whole with the $36,000 set aside for the operational in the event that they fulfill their terms of the 28E agreement? Is that what we're voting on tonight?
That would be correct, yes.
Okay. Is that laid out within the way the current council letter reads? So when we make this vote, we don't have to make any modifications to how we make the motion, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
All right. Is there a motion?
Yeah, motion to approve, what is it?
Council
Council letter 7661. Yeah, thank you.
Motion by
Find
McBurney,
the right one.
second by Kroll. Any further discussion? All right, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
All right, thank you. That passes. Moving to item 7, public hearings. We have one public hearing, and that's to consider the 2024-2029 capital improvements program. The public notice for this was published in the January 5, 2024 Des Moines Register. I actually ask if there are any objections to that notice is published.
There were none.
Motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
All right, that passes. So I'm going to turn it over to AJ to introduce us, and then Bridget will take over as far as further discussion too. So AJ?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and members of City Council. For you tonight is your public hearing, your annual public hearing for the approval, the proposed approval of the 24 through 29 capital improvement program. The committee has met to review the document, and they've also fulfilled their obligation for a public hearing as well. That is incorporated no changes were promoted from the original document as submitted. And there is the introductory letter from the then chairperson, former Councilmember Adam Obrecht, explaining the commission's unanimous support of the city addressing more stormwater-related issues as future CIP programs develop, et cetera. So I know that Councilmember Carberry Montgomery will make comments about that as the co-chair of the CIP committee. This represents, again, the next 5 years capital planning for our projects. Once this document is approved, then all the items in here will come back to council for further consideration when it comes times to establish public hearings, accept bids, et cetera. So this is the first of many actions that will take place with programs that are scheduled for the next several years. So we will start seeing in the next several months activity coming across your desk for consideration that our CIP, in the current CIP and in this adopted document. So we'd be happy to answer questions. Staff is here. I see our engineering staff. I saw Kristen bring in a roll of paper that has all the documents and every project that we ever thought of and conceived is with her tonight, so she can answer any and all of your questions. I would be remiss if I didn't say that part of the CIP document, especially for the new council members, the last 10 years are what we call our out years. Those are projects that are identified that need to be addressed at some point and be considered by the city council. So we'd be happy to answer any questions, but Mr. Mayor, I would yield the floor to co-chairperson Carberry Montgomery.
Okay, Bridget?
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. It was my pleasure to serve as co-chair with former Councilmember Obrecht, and we truly shared duties as he was ill for the first meeting and chaired the second meeting. So, of course, the first meeting is where the heavy lifting is, and we go through the entire document. And the committee did the hard work of going through every single page, asking a lot of questions of staff and a lot of questions about fire trucks. So thank you to everyone who was able to answer our questions. But on the whole, the committee, as AJ said, was very satisfied with what was asked for in the CIP. I don't know, this is my 4th or 5th year in a row and done some previous stint on the CIP committee. Stormwater management is a huge concern of our CIP committee, as it is, I know, of the council as well. So the only, there was no changes proposed. The only thing that really came out, other than improving the document, was to very much strongly underline, highlight, bold the committee's desire to see us invest more in stormwater management activities. And there's no better person than former CIP committee member and now city council member, Pat Bodie, to talk more specifically about how we, the committee, would like to see this happen. And I don't know that the committee actually has a whole lot of specifics other than they just want to see a more intentional focus placed on that. And then before I turn it over to Pat, because then I'll be done, there was some discussion about the Aurora Complete Streets bike lane, which we had pushed back a year last year, and it's still in one more year. So I think this year we need to make sure that we are figuring out what our plan is for that project. So I know I've talked to Bob, and that's on the radar, but I'll turn it over to Pat to talk about what we talked about.
Yeah, well, I'll actually touch on both those things real quickly. With respect to stormwater management and stream restoration, we really just had a discussion that we greatly appreciated that there had been increase in dollars devoted to those kinds of projects, and that was an improvement, but still felt that we were looking at a situation that is placing this community at some level of risk, and that it just needs, the game just needs to continue to get stepped up and significantly, perhaps more aggressively than we have been doing it. And so that was really the encouragement, was that we really wanted the staff to look very hard at the available resources and the balance that we have in the various elements of our infrastructure, and see what kind of increase we can get in terms of stormwater management and stream restoration. And then with respect to the Aurora project, we talked about that generally as the Complete Streets projects. That plan is a wonderful plan, but it's been around for a while. It kind of got done right before the pandemic. Some things kind of got put on hold in terms of being able to interact with the public. And so really what we were talking about there was not just the Aurora project, but almost any of the projects that come close to neighbors and have actual, retrofit aspects to them, like the Aurora project does, versus going into a new development, probably will require some level of public education and outreach and hearing from the public about their concerns, so that the designs probably in the plan, that were alluded to in the plan, never had that level of engagement. They did a really great job with the budget they had, but as we go through project by project, we need to up our game on that as well. And that was really what the discussion was. Is that fair to say? Others who were there, did I capture that right?
So overall, I think the committee felt that staff did excellent work. As always, we do have a unique process, and I think our committee and our community really appreciates the time and energy that's put in by staff. And I just wanted to thank the committee for their thoughtful participation over the course of a couple of meetings and time spent outside reviewing the document.
All right. Thank you both. All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone in the audience like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, then is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Bodie, discussion, please vote. Excuse me.
Rosendahl, aye.
All right, it passes.
I'll move approval of Council Letter 7648.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery,
Second.
second by Bodie, discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
All right, that passes. Again, Bridget, thanks to the CIP committee for all the work on that. Thank you to staff for all the time spent on this. It's a very time-intensive, laborious process, but a necessary process, as we've all talked about, to prioritize and look at this so we can intelligently look at what we need to be doing in the next few years. So thank you to everybody for time well spent on this. Appreciate it. All right, we will move on then to establish public hearings. First is to establish a public hearing for the sanitary and storm sewer easement vacation for Lot 5 Patricia Park, Plat 15 at 9401 Monroe Court. Okay. Okay. Is there a motion?
Move approval of Council Letter 7664.
Okay. Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
All right, that passes. Item 8.2 is to establish a public hearing for the 2024 PCC Patch Program Phase 1. Johnson, answer any questions there?
Move approval of Council Letter 7650.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
That passes. Item 8.3 is to establish a public hearing for the 2024 PCC Patch Program Phase 2.
Move approval of Council Letter 7651.
By Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
That passes. Item 8.4 is to consider establishing a public hearing for the 2024 Storm Sewer Intake Program.
Motion to approve Council Letter 7652.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
That passes. Item 8.5 is to establish a public hearing for the Merle Hay Reinvestment District Stormwater Improvements.
Move approval of Council Letter 7653.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
by Bodie. Discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
That passes. And finally, item 8.6, to establish a public hearing for the Douglas Avenue urbanization from 86th Street to Elm Drive.
Move approval of Council Letter 7658.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Bodie, discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
And we will have a lot of public hearings on February 20.
Busy day.
Yeah. That passes. All right, thank you. Item 9, planning and zoning items versus item 9.1. That's to consider the Mallard Prairie Townhomes Plat 2 final plat on 170th Street and Persimmon Lane. And introduces our Community Development Director, Steve Franklin. Steve.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, all. Let me go to an aerial photograph for you here, show you where we're talking about. So this is, this item and the next item are directly related to each other. One is the final plat. I'll show you that here first. Can take action on that, and then should you approve that, the next item is the site plan. So the final plat will create the parcels on which the townhomes will be constructed. This is the area that we're talking about here on the west side of 170th Street. You can see Radiant Elementary here at the top of the sheet, the water tower across the street. The single-family homes are this area down here to the south. And this really got done in 2 phases. It wasn't done all at the same time because we had a change in developer and a change in builder. So it just ended up getting split in 2. Sometimes that happens. So the first phase are all these units that you see here to the south that were constructed. And the jogging boundary here is just kind of a function of how much of the street was constructed at that point. And so this is just the final plat for what is left. So that is the area enclosed there. And then if I actually go to the plat drawing itself, so that you can see that, again, here's that same jogging boundary right here that walks through, and you can see each of these numbered lots. And again, this is the document that once it is recorded, will create that legal lot on which the townhome would be created. Overall, it's about 3.69 acres. And it is 38 additional townhomes would be constructed in this area, 2 and 4 unit complexes. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you, Steve. Questions?
Oh, can you put the aerial back up?
Yeah.
So that stormwater detention is there, correct?
Yep.
So is there internal neighborhood access to get kids to Radiant?
I'm trying to remember. Brent, help me with this. I can't remember all the. Yeah, it would be along 170th Street, wouldn't it? Along that sidewalk to get up there. Yeah, there's nothing that cuts through in this particular area.
Okay. And we're cool with that? I mean, there's sidewalk, that's not that's just a regular length sidewalk on that side of 170th. But I mean, it's still better than crossing.
Yeah, it's the 15-foot section.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, through there.
And crossing, can you scroll up at all on
I
this?
can't. That's the limits of the photo I did for you, just because this was the area we were talking about.
So the kids would walk on 170th, and I'm assuming then there's safe pedestrian access somewhere in front of the school.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as we're concerned, we've looked at that with the
Okay.
access. We feel like it gets them up there safely, yes.
Okay. Because next year these kids are definitely all going to this school and hopefully
Right.
Walking.
Right, and that's something that we're continuing to look at with development in this area, how to make sure we get everybody there. Well, actually, with all the schools.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that a sidewalk up on Hickory Drive or intersecting Hickory Drive there? I noticed there's a
right
little,
up in here.
well, but toward, was that 172nd? It looks like there's a little path that leads up to the playground area there. I didn't know if that was a public sidewalk or.
Oh, through here?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I think it is, isn't it? Yeah. Trying to keep my schools straight.
I had a question. If I read this correctly, we were allowing the developer here to provide less parkland and instead invest in that park.
Correct.
Can you tell me a little bit about the rationale for that and what the reduction is from?
Yeah, if there's development that's occurring in an area where we don't have a park, a neighborhood park, then we like to look at the land, and it's 10% of the land area. According to that section of the code, if there are parks nearby, which there are here, they have the option of just basically paying a fee that we will then bank and use for improvements in those nearby parks. So in this particular area, there's development going on just to the north of the school. And that's a brand new development. There is a park there. This is called Highland Meadows over here on the east side of 170th Street. There is a fairly good-sized park over there as well. So with those existing parks, they chose that option. With the townhomes, they need more density. There wasn't really a spot to carve out 10% of the land area. So they chose to pay the fees that we can then use to make improvements in those nearby parks.
So that's kind of a standard operating procedure for us.
It has been for many years, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any issues with the kids using the park at the school, like on weekends or anything? Like, does the school have any problems with that?
Not that I'm aware of. When the development was originally happening here to the north around the school, we thought it was going to be a similar situation like over by Webster where we have Jeff Harm Park next door. It just didn't work out that way. It's not going to be connected with the school. There will be a park up in that neighborhood, but it won't be laid out quite the same way. But yeah, I'm not aware of any rules that the school has that, you know, they can't go on that property and use that property on weekends or whatever they're doing.
The playground at Walnut Hills, which is close to my house, you know, has signs, you know, closed during, you know, 8 to 5 or something like that, you know, during the school day. But other than that, it's open to the public. So I'm assuming that all Waukee schools have put up that signage.
It's probably the same procedure. And then again, we've got 2 other parks very nearby that are completely separate from the school that parks will be programming those as well.
And that's in part due to like after-school programming that occurs at the schools.
All right. Any other questions? If not, is there a motion?
I'll move approval of resolution 012-2024.
Motion by Carmen Montgomery,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
That passes. Then item 9.2 is consider the Mallard Prairie Townhomes Plat 2 site plan at 170th Street and Persimmon Lane.
Yep, so as I mentioned, this drawing is just kind of the overall with phase 1 and phase 2 together, same 38 units. You can see that same phase line right in through here like this. It's a little bit hard to see, but so everything here to the south was phase 1. Now this shows everything to the north, so this is kind of cohesive of what phase 1 and phase 2 would look like together. This just happens to be the landscape plan of all the different sheets that were in your packet. Again, Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval. Be happy to answer any questions.
Is there a motion? Questions?
Move approval, council letter 7663.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
That passes. Item 9.3 is consider the Des Moines Electrical Apprenticeship Building Addition Site Plan at 10700 Justin Drive. Steve?
So this is their existing facility on Justin. So here's an aerial photograph of that property. This is 104th, running north and south. The Justin Drive comes off to the west of 104th, and this is their property here. And the site plan is going to show they're going to do a little building addition right here at the end of this building to just kind of square this off. So let me go to that plan, which is right here. And again, here's the addition, kind of an L-shaped addition off to the end of this building. It's fairly small. It is 1,920 square feet, additional office space. It's precast concrete wall panels, which is certainly an acceptable building material in this area. The original site plan for this was approved back in 1993. There's been a couple of additional site plans since then. The Des Moines Electrical Apprentice Training Trust bought this in 2017. So there was a site plan that was approved by council back then to increase the size of the parking lot. And now this is the next site plan to add on to the building a little bit there. Planning and Zoning Commission does recommend approval subject to the items noted. Be happy to answer questions.
Move approval, council letter 7664.
Okay, motion by Kroll. Second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
passes. All right, item 10, regular agenda items versus item 10.1. That's to consider the satisfaction and release of the petition and waiver agreement for Plum Drive. And to introduce this is our Director of Engineering and Public Works, John Larson. John.
Hey, good evening, Mayor, members of council. The item before you tonight is related to the green line on here. So basically, it's the north half of the Plum Drive right-of-way, west of 170th Street, just north of Radiant Elementary, just the same area we've been discussing. Just to give you a little bit of history, so when a development occurs next to an arterial like this, the adjacent developer is responsible for 15.5 feet of pavement of the future arterial street and then 5 foot of the sidewalk. In this case, the developer provided us a petition and waiver that basically said that he would agree to the assessment and he would not legally challenge our assessment process. So basically, we have an agreement in place with him that's been recorded with Dallas County. We came before the council previously, had a preliminary assessment, accepted the contract, built 170th Street. So our next steps will be a final assessment, and we'll be able to do that once we get through all the DOT paperwork, since we did have some federal funds on this project. But in the meantime, the developers come to us and said, I'd like to pay off my assessment now and just be squared away with the city. So they have paid us what their final assessment will be. So at this point, we could release their petition and waiver because they satisfied their agreement with the city. And if the council does approve, us to release the petition and waiver, then the city clerk will notify Dallas County that it's satisfied and that can be removed from their record. So basically, all the petition and waiver really does is it just assures the city gets their payment, and now that they have paid us, we would be safe to release the agreement. So I'd be glad to answer any questions.
I just have some procedural questions about this. We've had a couple of these come up recently, and I honestly don't quite understand them in terms of what a petition and waiver is. So how much did they pay us?
It was in the neighborhood of about $50,000. All the different petition waivers are different. This one only had 50, 60 feet of frontage, so it was a very small petition waiver.
But have we already built that lane, or did we only put?
This is built with the 170th Street project. So they're responsible for the paving right out in front of the street, and the left turn lane to turn into Plum was their responsibility.
And what was, maybe you don't have the answer to this, but are they ready to do further development to the north? Is that why they were asking for us to release this?
They've got different development going to the north. The biggest thing is when they do a title search, it'll come up as an outstanding lien. So they want this to be satisfied so every property doesn't come up and see there's a lien tied to this area, in which case then we have to deal with everyone individually to satisfied when they do their title work.
Okay, makes some sense. Thank you.
Move approval, council letter 7655.
Moved by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
You waiting for somebody?
I keep hitting it.
That passes.
Sorry, but I swear to God, I hit it.
Item 10.2 is consider the memorandum of understanding for the US 6 Hickman Road interchange raise grant application. John?
Okay. Just a little bit of an overview here, then I'll kind of run into the Hickman project itself. But we were approached by Snyder and Associates about the possibility of applying for it's a Rebuilding American Infrastructure and Sustainability and Equity raise grant. The way that's being set up is the city of Clive will be the lead agency, and then we'll just do this memo of understanding that says we agree that the most we can pay for this would be $15,000. With the grant program, I believe the minimum award amount is $5 million. We're going to apply hopefully for more. They're still determining the exact amount we're going to apply for. But this is basically just saying that we're going along with Clive and Snyder and Associates to apply for the funding. And then basically, I'll give you a little overview since we have some new people on the Hickman interchange. Keep in mind, on February 20th, Snyder and Associates will be here and give you a much broader, more detailed overview of the project. But just to kind of keep everybody up to speed on the project. So as we look in the middle, here's Interstate 3580, and then Hickman Road goes east-west or left-right on the screen. What's proposed is a diverging diamond. So as Hickman is today, if you wanted to go eastbound and to go left to go north on the interstate, you have to cross in front of the other two lanes. Where the diverging diamond is different, you'll start as you normally would. There's a signalized intersection that'll cross you to the north side of the road. Then you have the ability to have a free left to the interstate. Or if you want to continue going east, you cross back through a signalized intersection and be back on the south side of the road. Some things you can also see in their rendering here, there'll be landscaping within the medians. You can see our trail on the north side, so the trail will continue. There'll be a bridge to get you over the interstate ramps. Then you'll continue down through a box culvert under the interstate, back up, and then to a bridge that gets you over the ramps. And then the trail will continue over to 111th Street. This is just another view showing you under the interstate bridge. So there'll be plantings and landscaping and different features underneath the interstate. And then I wanted to kind of just show a little bit on the west side. So here is the bridge I was showing over the ramps. There'll also be a trail that'll continue, that basically will continue from the one we just constructed from 128th and Hickman east to the Heritage Park or Lifetime Fitness entrance. This project picks up the trail from there and continues it to the east. There'll also be an option to where you can come back through a tunnel underneath Hickman, continue around, go east past the truck stop and get down to the Clive Greenbelt. So again, on February 20th, Snyder Associates will be here to give you more information on where we are with the project, but that's just kind of a quick overview. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Is this a new funding opportunity that we hadn't, when we went to DC last year to talk to folks? I mean, is this something that was on our radar or?
It's had different names. It was the Tiger Grant previously, and then it's had different names, but it was in the latest funding bill when they announced all the different options.
Do we feel pretty good about it? I mean, we feel great about it, but is that a question
if
for
we
Snyder
do get
next?
it'll be a tremendous benefit, but I think there's pretty heavy competition and a lot of, it's going to be how the grant's prepared. It's really kind of for the environmental justice areas where immediately here we don't have any, but there is the interstate traffic, and I think that's the angle they're going to try to use to say that we qualify for what they're looking for in the funding.
It's multi-jurisdictional, which helps too,
But it is a nationwide, and unfortunately, I don't think Iowa regularly gets this funding, but they have in the past.
Yeah, it'll be competitive, but it's worth going after. So.
Is Living History Farms involved in this at all?
We'll likely have a recommendation letter from them.
Getting access to that is probably something meaningful.
Yeah. But,
Pedestrian and bicycle access too?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll have a letter of support, I'm sure, but I mean, the official applicants are DOT and Clive and Urbandale.
It'll just be Clive and Urbandale.
Okay.
Yep.
And is this grant for a specific part of the project, or is it just kind of toward the overall project?
The way it's being set up is depending on what we can get. It'll likely go towards the DOT's portion, but they will credit that back to us on the part that is the two cities, portion of it, that are the trail and the aesthetics part.
Did we get any STBG funds? I can't remember, John,
Yes.
honestly. We've gotten an award for that, right?
I believe $2.5 million we'd received in the past, so that'll go up. Roughly right now, Clive and Urbandale shares roughly $10 million, so that $2.5 million will come off of that. Then if we can get anything through this funding or any other additional funding, it'll help bring that total down.
Are we asking for more STBG this year too, or not?
Not on this project,
Okay,
no.
all right. I couldn't remember if we were not.
Nope, we've come back with our multiple years on it, so we've done that.
Okay.
Move approval of council letter 7656.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
keep going.
Shout out.
There.
That passes. All right, thanks, John. Item 10.3 is consider the services agreement with First Due, and to introduce us is Fire Chief Mike Cardwell. Chief? All right.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. What we have before you tonight is an agreement with the company called First Due. Part of what we've been trying to work on over the last few years is the integration of scheduling, timekeeping, and all of those pieces. And at a city level, we just haven't been able to put it together, primarily because one company does something really well, but it doesn't work well with the other. So as the city has moved forward with the payroll part of that piece, the fire department, which has had a need to put together what we call a scheduler, is going to move forward with a different company. A scheduler is just a way, and there's an example of some of it up here on the screen to show you, just a way for us to keep track of where our people are, who's on duty, who's supposed to work, who's scheduled off, all of those types of things. Right now, we're using clearly a mixed mash of different systems. A lot of it literally is in Word and Excel, and then we're cutting and pasting it over here and tracking it over here. And there's a lot of different moving pieces when it comes to managing 54 people, all of them working different schedules. So our team went out, did their due diligence, has identified this company as being actually the ideal product for us in terms of the ability to do the scheduling pieces. So people can come in, understand when they're supposed to work, submit requests, all of that piece, and understand all of the different parts that are going on. Plus, hopefully in the future, be able to use this program to reduce some of the different systems that we're using and bring them all together. So what you have before you is simply a request to approve the purchase of this scheduler system. It is a 3-year agreement. The first year involves a little bit of extra money for the setup and then an annual agreement after that. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Out of curiosity, do we use a similar system for the police department?
So
We have budgeted monies for schedule software. We have not landed on one yet at this time. We use Excel spreadsheet right now.
Yeah, I absolutely can understand that.
we did talk to the police department about is there the ability to move forward at the same time, but the police department is just at a different place. And we actually looked at their system that they had been talking about going to, a company called Lad Tech, and they did not give us the best price and the features that we were looking for.
Does this communicate at all with our HR systems, or are you still gonna have to request something and then?
It has that capability, but we've agreed now, for right now, that we are not going to tie the two systems together.
Okay.
Just because we don't want to get into those issues.
Okay.
So we're going to let that whole piece is being moved to a new system as well. We're going to let that system get up, get happy, everything working good, and then we'll see if we can tie it. This system is capable of providing data to that system. We did verify that, but we've agreed we are not going to move that piece forward right
Until we have everything integrated, right? And then we can talk about doing that.
Then we'll figure out if the systems actually want to play nice with each other.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Thanks, Mike.
Well, this seems like a no-brainer to purchase if you're both using Excel spreadsheets to track time. I don't really, there's a lot of potential for error, and I'm assuming this will make someone's life a lot easier or
Right now,
several
we're
people.
keeping schedule components literally in 4 different places.
Yeah.
And that's just inefficient, and you're right, prone to errors.
Nightmare.
Well, I will move approval of Council Letter 7645.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery.
Second.
Second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
That's the idea. I have to wait until the blue border goes away.
I don't know, try it. Just in and out. Oh, yeah.
That passes, all right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Item 10.4 is to consider the equipment purchase for the Elter applicator, and John answering questions on this if there are. Excuse me.
Motion to approve Council Letter 7646.
Motion by McBurney,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
That passes. And finally, item 10.5 is to consider the equipment purchase for the compact tractor.
Move to approve Council Letter 7647.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote.
Rosendahl, aye.
That passes, all right. And we're 9 minutes ahead of our agenda schedule. Boy. Item 11, Mayor and Council items. Bridget?
Are you asking us to speak longer? Is that what you're saying?
Well, as I'm sure the rest of the council wants to thank as well, but I want to thank all of our frontline workers and our second line and third line and all the way through our staff for amazing response to a very difficult week of snow removal and cold. I know we had to pull our plows off the street, and that had to be a difficult decision, but I think everything was handled safely and communicated well, and people were still, got what they needed. So I really appreciate everyone's hard work, and also want to thank the fire department. You guys got a shout out from the Windsor Heights community yesterday for helping on a house fire yesterday. So thank you. I just, every time I see us, working in other communities, it drives home the importance of Metro collaboration, and I think we follow a really, we follow that very much to heart, which leads me to my latest update on DART, which is very much in need of Metro cooperation these days. We will have our first meeting of the year next Tuesday with new representation from the city of Des Moines, Polk County, Altoona, and Ankeny, I think. So I'm not quite sure what the agenda is going to look like in terms of what we've been talking about community-wide in terms of the service cuts. What we're looking at right now is hopefully the city of Des Moines would agree to a 1.5% franchise fee increase, and we would extend the implementation of the new funding formula that we're already using, which was being fully implemented over 8 years. So each year we're less reliant on the old funding formula. And so we would extend that full implementation where Des Moines pays 49% and the suburbs pay 51% over 12 years. Which will ultimately lead Urbandale to be paying significantly less based on the amount of service that we receive. So this would just be kind of delaying that ultimate decrease. So I feel very comfortable with this. I am hopeful that there will be no service cuts needed, but there are people in the community that want to cut service, in my opinion, for the sake of cutting service, which I feel is fundamentally a flawed place to come from when we're a community that is in need of more public transit and more access. I mean, listening to our human services meeting last week, every other section talked about how we need better public transit. And until we get Des Moines figured out, there's no way we're going to be able to look at doing anything differently, better, more exciting, more innovative in any of our suburbs until we get this straightened out with Des Moines. So stay tuned. There is an email that I think probably the mayor and AJ got to attend the budget workshop. I hope that both of you can attend, and maybe you and Curtis could both attend. So I think there's a doodle poll or something out for that. So please let me know if you have any questions. I am dreaming about these spreadsheets and numbers and arguments, but next Tuesday will be a very interesting meeting. I don't know if we're voting on anything yet. There's a executive committee meeting on Friday. I am going to continue, as assuming the vote goes accordingly, on the executive committee, and I'll be moving up to secretary treasurer of the executive committee. So I think the suburbs are generally on board with this process that we're going to propose.
So is Des Moines, I mean, are they indicating they would do this 1.5%? And is Mayor Bozen the new primary rep?
She is the primary, and Councilmember Coleman is the secondary. I believe he's a little tougher nut to crack on this. And Angela Connolly is rejoining the commission, which is great news, as she is a strong supporter of DART and also a trusted confidant of many members of the DART Commission. So I'm hopeful that everyone can corral. We really have no idea what Des Moines wants to do.
I'm hearing.
Other than they would really like to just cut service, which I am going to speak loudly in opposition to cutting service for the sake of cutting services, because it really makes a difference to those in our community. You know, if we're pushing a 20-minute frequency route to an hour, or 20 minutes to 40 minutes, or 30 to an hour, you know, the folks that rely on DART. And when they have to double their time it takes to get them to work in the morning, or to school, to doctors, whatever, to something really important in their life, that is a lot to ask for. And so we may, you know, cutting route, it may not be a cutting of a route, but if you're, you know, making it twice as long, I mean, you're really asking a lot of the people that rely on DART. So I really just don't know how it's all going to shake out. I think that a 2.5% franchise fee increase balances out with the extension of our implementation. The numbers that I've seen show the ability of Des Moines to decrease their DART levy by 10 cents, and then build up a reserve to even decrease it more. So it would go from 95, they could cut it down to 85. So you're asking people to pay, you know, out of one pocket, and they're gonna get a savings out of the other pocket. I think there's, you know, trade-off there that is worthwhile in discussion, but if people want to cut just to cut, I'm gonna fight back loudly on that. And I know more community organizations are getting involved all the time. So on behalf of the riders, there are community organizations like the Taxpayers Association. What's the?
Taxpayers Association.
The Art Whitmack group is, you know, may not like the franchise fee, but he did tell me he wanted to be part of the solution. So I'm not sure how he's doing that, but there's a lot going on. Stay tuned. I know we have like three weeks before our next meeting, so I could know a lot more. But please ask me questions, send me emails, texts, whatever. But you know, ultimately, when this gets implemented, it's going to be a better, you know, Urbandale's going to pay less. So, I mean, that's good for us, but I think we all want what's best for our community. And I sucked back all your extra 5 minutes, but it's really important what's going on right now. So.
All right, thanks. Pat.
Well, I want to ditto everything Bridget had to say about all of the folks who did so much work through these storms. Just ridiculous. I can't imagine what people went through to deliver such a high quality service. It's been amazing. And I've heard nothing but good things from people. And even at last night's meeting where people were bragging about Urbandale compared to every place else. So that was kind of a nice thing. A couple of things coming up. I did get to the first ICON meeting where I'm an Urbandale rep. That was an online piece. And the good news is things are looking up financially in terms of projects meeting budgets and staying on schedule. But they did outline the challenge that Urbandale's facing with the DNR, and that they're working with the DNR to try and get the permissions for the Urbandale Access Point project. So I haven't gotten to talk to Jan about that. That meeting was just late last week, but hopefully that is moving forward. Walnut Creek Watershed Management Authority, I did manage to get elected secretary, and I wasn't at the meeting, so good job. Really wondering how I did that.
Because you didn't go to the meeting.
Yeah, because I didn't go to the meeting. I will be going to the meetings in the future, not to rescind the secretary position, but just to be more diligent. And I do have my first Metro Waste Authority meeting tomorrow, and Ron Pogge, shout out to him for volunteering to take me to that and kind of introduce me around. So appreciative of that.
Good. Well, thanks for taking on those.
Oh, and I do want to just reinforce what we keep hearing from some of these folks that are coming to the meetings early about climate action.
Thank you, Pat. Amy.
I just want to say thank you to those of you who came to the Human Service Strategic Planning meeting. This has been a pretty significant lift, and I'm just grateful to have everyone's participation. There are lots of really good comments that are, if you feel like wading through them, I do owe you all a summary of the highlights of the more important pieces. There are also some real specific comments I want to get to you, John, regarding specific traffic lights that work, don't work, et cetera, et cetera. So, and the other thing I want to highlight in there, there's plenty of comments in regards to complete streets, and I think it ties right into our transportation issues and our issues with Aurora as well. The other thing, MAC, they heard from MWA actually at our MAC meeting. They have a home delivery program for hazardous waste. So if you didn't know about that, there's one. It's like $25 and you can clear out your garage and they come and pick it up. I'm saying that from my own household. And then also just want to alert folks, every year there's a point in time count that happens for our homeless population. So this year's point in time count, we actually do 2 of them in Iowa because the first one's January 24th and 25th. And the second one is in July. But this is an opportunity. We have volunteers who go out and count the number of folks who are physically homeless in our community. And this ties into our HUD requirements. But the important part for Urbandale is if you are aware of any particular homeless camps, please let me know because I am a liaison back to that planning group that's trying to document where those camps might be. So, and I have reached out to Chief Johansson, and they're on top of that.
Does that area include like Waukee?
It's Polk County.
Just Polk County, okay.
Yep.
Does Dallas County do one?
That's a whole different conversation.
Okay.
That's much broader than.
I know we had someone living on a trail in Waukee for a while, but.
If you know of that information, I can get it to the people
Okay.
who manage that component. So that's it. That's all I got.
Thanks,
And thanks, of course, to,
Yeah.
clearing the life away. Yeah.
Blake?
I will also say thank you for all the work that was going on this week. It was a lot. Looking forward to the budget discussions, and it was great information provided by the Human Services call. Really eye-opening, and I'm really excited to dig into all those spreadsheets and documents and everything that you're sending along. One item I want to call out is that we still have the flag submissions open. So if you want to provide feedback or submit ideas, that's open until the end of the month, I think. That's right. Yeah. Urbandale.org/flag.
Have we received any? Do you know?
Oh, yeah.
How many have we got?
Oh, wow.
Make it 200.
Give Derek more work.
Yep.
All right. Larry?
First, foremost, of course, Public Works. You guys did amazing. I had many folks reach out to me about the streets, whether they were complimenting the work that was done or asking questions about pulling the plows off, and really understanding why we made that decision. I think that everyone agrees that Urbandale is one of the best in the entire metro area at clearing our streets. So, John, please pass along thanks. I know they get it every year, but they really deserve it because they are absolutely amazing at what they do. The other thing, I happened to stumble across the fire department doing their awards ceremony, completely unplanned. But it was great being able to peek in the back and just kind of watch them recognize all their firefighters, EMTs, paramedics, and all the great efforts that they put forth over the year. I know myself personally, having utilized their services within the last 7 months, it's everything that they do is just, it's not appreciated enough. So thank you again, Chief. And then also to the police, I know I was able to attend the processional for Perry High School's principal, Dan Marburger, going back to Perry. So our wonderful police department provided escort services for that. And I know they also responded to that situation. Just thank you guys again for always being on top of it and always wanting to be the first ones out there. So thank you. And then lastly, I know we have some recognition for our police officers coming up. I think we have one of our officers, I don't know who, that is going to be recognized tomorrow night at the Elks Club for Law Enforcement Person of the Year. I think they do one from each community, and I do not know who Urbandale's is yet. So we'll see. That's all I got. Huh?
You are an elk?
I am. An elk, I'm a lion and everything. Seal, I don't know. I just throw animals out there.
Okay. All right. All right. I just have a few things too. Again, I know everybody said this, but I do want to share just a short story from Friday. You know, as soon as we announced that we were going to pulling the trucks off the streets, I had a woman calling frantically. She's a quadriplegic and was concerned that she had a caregiver that needed to respond a couple times today, and she was concerned that would not be able to happen if we're pulling trucks off the street. So I immediately got a hold of AJ, and I want to thank AJ, and Chief Johansson just left. I don't know who got it coordinated, but between AJ and Rob and you know, we got the caregiver to the woman's house at the necessary times, despite pulling the trucks off the street. That was the reason for my text on that Friday night. So we got it on a number of calls, and we're able to make sure and ensure the woman that she would be safe, and we can get her caregiver to her despite the trucks coming off the street. So, and again, obviously, with this, you think about our snowplow drivers, but you know, there are things like that, like our police and fire, the secondary and the tertiary issues that really come up with a storm like that. So it really is a team lift for everybody. So I want to thank everybody for doing that. We have an MPO meeting coming up. We are in the, again, I bring that up from my representation there, but we are in the process of, it's now open. The application period is open for the executive director from MPO, and so that'll stay open till the end of this month, and then we will be reviewing the applications that come in. And again, the goal is to have someone hired by February 15th. So I don't think I have anything further. Sure.
So situations where we have people who have medical issues or scenarios such as that, do we keep a list or some sort of documentation or record of address for those?
We do. I just saw the chief nod. That's pretty standard, that if we know of a particular medical situation or a homebound situation that might require us to have a little bit more diligence, we do know that. As Chief Cardwell was part of that conversation on Friday night, and he assured me that, number one, our fire trucks can get through most anything, so that's good. Number two was that we have in the past and will continue to provide assist. When someone calls 911, they just need to explain their situation and that we will show up. We don't give it extensive care, as the caregiver that the mayor mentioned, but we do provide that immediate assistance to get them in a safe situation. So yes, everybody had suggestions when the mayor called me and I made my rounds of calls. Everybody was willing to say, well, we can do this, or we do that and that. So, but back to your question, yes, we do keep a listing. And so now we have this woman's address that I'll provide to the chief and to the chiefs so that they know that if there is a situation at this address, that they know that there is someone who has mobility issues.
Great, thank you.
If I may, if you have that question further to myself or Robert Johansson, we will actually put that information into our CAD system so that if there is an incident, we will have all of that information, caregiver names, phone numbers, whatever information they need to share with us, what their limitations are, so that all comes up to our providers. And that way we can follow up with them as well to make sure that we're capable of meeting their needs.
Fantastic. Fantastic, thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, that's all I have. We are at the end of the agenda, so we stand adjourned.